Give me your ghost. The man's voice was like a cold breeze, his face a white, skull-shaped blur floating above a red sweater. Joshua's eyes struggled to focus, dancing wetly behind the droplets of blood clinging to his eyelashes. A gray object wavered in front of him, spangled with bright specks of sunlight, as the man tilted it slowly. Joshua blinked the blood away and saw the knife. He struggled to twist his wrists free from the duct tape that had been wound around them as the knife came into focus. His head throbbed from where he had been struck. Blood leaked down his forehead, into his eyes, and over his duct-taped mouth. Joshua pressed the tip of his tongue against the sticky side of the tape, but couldn't move it. A scream lay trapped at the back of his throat, hot tears mixing with the blood on his lashes. His ankles were bound with duct tape as well. His attacker held him against a tree, and he tried to move his face away from the long and slender blade, but it followed him. The man watched impassively, his flinty blue eyes like polished zircon embedded in his pallid face. He lowered the knife, but continued to press Joshua against the tree. "I want you to give me your ghost," the man said. Joshua blinked as the blood slid into his eyes. His thoughts raced as a sticky bolus of bile burped from his throat and dribbled under the duct tape. His stomach cramped and roiled. The man's eyes roved Joshua's bloody face and head. "The human body is so vile, isn't it? A poorly engineered costume of meat and fluid." He slid the knife's tip through the slime on Joshua's chin. "Be happy. You'll be free of it soon." Panic strafed Joshua's nerves, and he fought to push himself against his attacker. But he had no leverage, and the man slammed him against the tree. Joshua's bound hands crunched against his back. He screamed against the duct tape, his words a muffled, unintelligible howl. Joshua whimpered as the blade against his throat. "Blaise Pascal," the man said. "Have you ever heard of him? Yes? Blaise Pascal was a 17th century French mathematician. A brilliant, brilliant man. He had a fascination with probability theory, the analysis of random events." The man spoke with calm precision, each word and syllable a perfect vocal emanation. Despite the pain and panic, Joshua found himself entranced. "Pascal proposed a wager that all men must make with their lives. Does God exist? Or does he not exist? Pascal said, if there is a God, he is infinitely incomprehensible, since, having neither parts nor limits, he has no affinity for us. We are then incapable of knowing either what he is, or if he is. We have no choice but to take the bet. We can either believe or not believe, but we must make a choice. Some of us wager with faith, others with reason, but we can never ever truly know." An almost wistful calmness seemed to radiate from the man as he locked eyes with Joshua. The knife pressed deeper. "There was fear behind Pascal's obsessions, a fear I understand all too well." There was a slight tremor to the man's voice, as if he were on the verge of a confession he'd been shamed into giving. The man leaned into Joshua, their noses touching like two lovers before a kiss. "Pascal said, when I consider the short duration of my life, swallowed up in the eternity before and after, the little spaces which I fill and even can see, engulfed in the infinite immensity of spaces of which I am ignorant and which know me not. I am frightened." The man's recitation paused as he swallowed and took a breath. "And am astonished at being here rather than there. For there is no reason why here rather than there. Why now rather than then? Who?" His voice wavered, and his eyes burned with an obdurate feral intensity. "Who has put me here? By whose order and design have this place and this time been allotted to me? The eternal silence of these infinite spaces frightens me." The man went silent. He pulled his face away, but the knife remained. Joshua closed his eyes. There was no escape. He prayed that when the end came, it would come quickly. On the cusp of death, he knew he should be struggling, fighting with every bit of strength he could muster. But he wouldn't. He didn't want to die with his limbs flailing impotently, like a crab at the end of a spear. "You are the lucky one now," the man said, his voice timorous. "I will remain here, in fear, suffocating fear. But you will be free. You will know the answers to my questions. But maybe you can give them to me, and I will suffocate no more." The blade cut into Josh's neck. Pain consumed him as his throat filled with blood, his every nerve shrieking. Whiteness effloresced before his eyes, filling his head. He slid down the tree, his knees no longer able to support him. When he hit the earth, blood burst from his mouth, oozing out from under the duct tape. On his knees, his body convulsing, his whole world was one of blood, the taste, the smell, the spasms as it pumped from him. Somewhere beyond the whiteness, somewhere beyond the world he was leaving forever, he felt the man near his ear. "Give me your ghost," the man whispered. Joshua felt the blade enter his stomach and up under his rib cage. The man pushed up and up and up, each time with more force. Joshua felt things inside him puncture and detach. His body convulsed and leaked, but Joshua no longer felt anything. He was untethered, floating into the whiteness. Slowly, the white turned gray, and he thought he could hear a noise miles and miles away. It sounded like a camera snapping pictures. "He's taking pictures of me. Why is he?" And then gray turned to black, and Joshua thought no more.